June 1996, the greatest hockey player who ever lived is a free agent. And let's imagine, instead of becoming a New York Ranger, Wayne Gretzky heads up north, puts on the blue and white, and joins the Maple Leafs. What does Toronto look like? What does the NHL look like? This is the alternate history of the Great One returning home to Canada. In the summer of '96, Wayne Gretzky found himself in a situation that felt almost unthinkable. Number 99 was without a hockey home. After a late-season trade from LA to St. Louis, Gretzky showed he had plenty left in the tank, producing at a high level and reminding everyone his career was not over. But despite the on-ice production, things behind the scenes in St. Louis weren't lining up. Contract negotiations stalled, tensions grew, and suddenly, for the first time in his career, Gretzky hit the open market. An unthinkable, unrestricted free agent. Enter the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto had just come off a season where they made a bold trade of their own, reacquiring their former captain and emotional leader, power forward Wendell Clark. I have a full breakdown of Captain Crunch returning to Toronto if you're curious, linked above. Unfortunately, that reunion ran into a familiar foe in unfamiliar colors, Wayne Gretzky and the Blues, resulting in a first-round exit. But the team did make the playoffs after all, and general manager Cliff Fletcher was aggressive in wanting to extend what most believed to be a rapidly closing cup contention window. The idea? Bring the Great One back to Canada and sign Wayne Gretzky. Growing up about an hour away from Toronto, along with his father being a longtime season ticket holder, it almost made too much sense for Wayne Gretzky to finish his career on an original six team and become a Maple Leaf. Unfortunately, even shockingly, ownership did not share Cliff Fletcher's vision, feeling they could not take on that type of salary commitment. Wayne Gretzky would tell Sportsnet 590 The Fan, "At one point in time, we were close to Toronto. Cliff Fletcher really dug in deep and tried to make it happen. Timing is everything, and unfortunately at the time they were trying to raise money to move out of Maple Leaf Gardens and move into a new arena, a new facility, and the ownership just felt at the time they needed to concentrate and put more of their resources into building an arena than to sign me. And that's business, and that's what happens, but I thought I was close to signing in Toronto. I thought it was going to happen. Unfortunately, it didn't." With Cliff Fletcher's sales pitch being too expensive for owner Steve Stavro, Wayne Gretzky joining the Leafs slipped away, fading into a great what-if hockey story. But since the why it didn't happen has been covered to death, let's imagine it did. Let's go back to July 21st, 1996, and instead of the New York Rangers being that original six team to retire on, Wayne Gretzky joins the Maple Leafs. What does that lineup look like? And most importantly, how does it produce? It doesn't take much thought to realize a pretty big lineup decision has to be made right away. Where do you play Mats Sundin? Sundin in the 96-97 season is 25 years old and entering his third season in Toronto. Already a legit first-line center, there's an obvious temptation here to stack the middle of the ice, lining up Mats Sundin, Wayne Gretzky, and the defensively responsible former Selke winner, Captain Doug Gilmour, at center ice. I decided to go in a different direction. Doug Gilmour reuniting with Wendell Clark the previous year sparked the Leafs, with both scoring over a point per game pace. And in the actual 96-97 season, Wendell Clark scored 30 goals in 65 games, with Doug Gilmour scoring 60 points in 61 games, which is amazing production for a second line. To me, instead of spreading out the big three centers and potentially watering down top six production, keep Gilmour and Wendell Clark together, and put Mats Sundin with the greatest linemate of his career, newly signed number 99. In pushing the creative freedom a bit further, I'm undoing the Mike Gartner trade from the summer of '96 to the Coyotes. Since we're adding Gretzky, why subtract from the roster, especially a top six player who even at the age of 36 was coming off of a 35-goal season? Who needs fourth-round picks anyway? This can slot Mike Gartner with Doug Gilmour and Wendell Clark as a very good and well-seasoned second line with built-in chemistry. For the top line, we can put breakout rookie Sergei Berezin, who scored 25 goals playing mostly with Mats Sundin and Mike Craig. Now we can swap out Mike Craig with the Great One. While it's hard to truly project how players would mesh, I think it's safe to say without any disrespect, A Mike Craig-Wayne Gretzky swap is a massive upgrade. And the best part, and it can't be highlighted enough, all it costs is cash. No subtracting from the roster or even dealing youth or future assets. We slot Wayne Gretzky on the top line and improve depth with Mike Craig on the third unit with Kirk Muller. That also gives us 3 centers with cup-winning experience. But how big of an upgrade are we talking? Wayne Gretzky, his first year in New York, had 25 goals and led the league with 72 assists, finishing 4th with 97 points. And that's playing mainly with 21-year-old Nicholas Sundstrom and a struggling Luc Robitaille, who only averaged 24 goals in 2 laboring seasons in New York. A far cry from prime Mats Sundin, who scored 41 goals and 94 points with lesser wingers. Another huge boost that we can't forget is Larry Murphy, who struggled, becoming Toronto's whipping boy on the blue line. He would also see a big increase in production with an improved first line and, more importantly, the Maple Leafs power play. The Maple Leafs finished 17th out of 26 in goals scored in a 96-97 season, including operating at a 15.53% on the power play. Wayne Gretzky had 25 power play assists in New York, 9 more than Murphy, who led the Leafs in power play assists with 16. Again, it's a huge shot of adrenaline for the Leafs offense. Now that we see where the players line up, let's put some actual numbers on the skaters with some point projections. Seeing Doug Gilmour and Wendell Clark's actual performance, and Mike Gardner performing very well in Phoenix with 32 goals and 63 points, I think it's safe to have all those stats relatively the same at even strength, with a slight bump with a much improved power play for Gilmour and Clark. Wendell Clark had an amazing 21 goals in a great power play a few years earlier with Toronto. While I don't think he can get that many, he most likely sees the biggest goal increase from a productive power play. From 6 power play goals to 12, I project Wendell Clark ending the year with nearly 40 goals in 65 games played. Doug Gilmour also records more power play points, increasing his totals to 25 goals and 89 points in a full season with Toronto versus being traded to New Jersey. Gardner in Phoenix was playing a ton of minutes on the top line with Jeremy Roenick and Keith Tkachuk. In Toronto, he would see second-line deployment, which has him closer to his 95-96 numbers, 28 goals, 19 assists, and 47 points. For the top line, the real-life stats from 96-97 had Berezin with 25 goals and Mats Sundin having the second most points of his career with 94 points. Berezin had 7 power play goals in 96-97, which would be hard to match if on the second unit. However, 2 seasons later on a stronger Toronto team, Berezin would score 37 goals with only 9 on the power play. It would not be a stretch to see him having strong even-strength numbers while playing 16 minutes a night with Gretzky and Sundin. I have his projections at 33 goals, 25 assists, and 55 points, which would most likely place his Calder Trophy voting from 7th to 2nd. With only 20 power play points in 96-97 in comparison to the 30 he scored in 95-96, and playing a good portion of the season with unestablished first-liners, Mats Sundin sees his numbers rival his career-high season in Quebec. Having the greatest passer of all time gets Mats Sundin to 48 goals, and the power play boost gets him to 111 points. Larry Murphy gets back to where he was the year prior, never gets traded to Detroit, and scores 15 goals and 50 assists for 65 points, while quarterbacking a very successful power play. And for Wayne Gretzky, we have 28 goals and 80 assists for 108 points. For some doubting how much Gretzky could produce in his late 30s, in his first 2 seasons in New York, number 99 scored 187 points in 164 games. That's the 3rd most in the entire NHL for those 2 seasons, behind only prime Teemu Selanne and Jaromir Jagr. For further comparison, the Leafs' leading scorer in those same 2 seasons was Mats Sundin with 168. Also, Wayne Gretzky's final year in LA, he played with Dmitry Kristich and Russian rookie Dmitry Yakhmanev, and put up 81 points in only 62 games played, before being traded to St. Louis. Simply put, Wayne Gretzky is still one of the very best centers in the entire NHL. So what does this mean for the Leafs record? Running a simulation of increased offense, it shows a range of 270 and 285 goals for, which places them safely in the top 4 in scoring for the year. The offensive jump that Gretzky provides the top line, power play, and even strength depth easily adds 45 to 55 goals on the season for Toronto. The power play at 15% would hover around 20%, which the New York Rangers led with in the 96-97 season, thanks to a huge boost from, you guessed it, Wayne Gretzky. Also, we can't forget the possibilities of Gretzky's influence over the roster. Perhaps during the season, the team trades for former linemate Esa Tikkanen to provide a third-line upgrade and defensive help, or even another former Gretzky linemate Thomas Sandstrom, who coincidentally ended up being traded to the Red Wings, just like Larry Murphy, to help them secure their first cup of the Yzerman era. Who knows where the Rangers, and even the Red Wings for that matter, end up without Gretzky going to New York. For a team record projection, a range of 38 to 42 wins, which is 86 to 92 points, seems fair with the high-powered offense. This has them finishing third in the division and fourth seed in the Western Conference. A possible head-to-head matchup in the first round against the up-and-coming Anaheim Ducks. Teemu Selanne and Paul Kariya against Kariya's idol, Wayne Gretzky. And also pitting Gretzky against a former linemate and possibly the greatest duo of all time, Jari Kurri. Now that we have laid out some line combinations and projections, the last question remains, should the Leafs have done it? The answer for me is simple, why not? For fans thinking this team is well past its winning window, you are probably right, but losing didn't necessarily speed up that rebuilding process. You have to remember, that first-round pick was gone, traded the season earlier to get Wendell Clark back. Losing only benefited the New York Islanders, who ended up taking Roberto Luongo. Trading huge assets to undo that mistake, probably not the best idea. But again, as previously mentioned, Gretzky as the #1 point-per-game center only costs money. The assets the Leafs ended up getting from selling, none really made a difference in the end. Jason Smith and Steve Sullivan from the Gilmour trade were good NHLers, but for other franchises. And if the team continued success in the '98 season, the biggest loss from the Gretzky signing as far as future building would be losing the 10th overall pick, Nick Antropov. And worst case if it doesn't work, just an extra piece to sell the following season while counting the cash from Gretzky's jersey sales, merchandise, and corporate sponsorships. So what do you guys think? Am I way off on my offensive projections? The team record? Was Gretzky not worth adding? As in a few years, Pat Quinn would arrive and jolt the franchise himself. The very same Pat Quinn who almost signed Gretzky to the Vancouver Canucks. But that's another video for another time. Please comment below with your thoughts on this alternate timeline, and please subscribe for more line combo content.